Hey everyone, welcome back to the next episode of the 5-Minute Family Workshop. Today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to begin family worship for the first time in your home. But before we do that, you got to see this intro. Let's put the clock up right here and let's get started. Now, last episode, we talked about how family worship might be the most underutilized resource in family discipleship across the board for families in the church. Part of that's because we just never understood what family worship was, or our parents didn't do a formal family worship in the home. But I'm going to suggest it to you as probably the best opportunity for you to disciple your children to worship your God. It's when you sit down for a time of family worship. But the question is, how do you get started? Where do you start? What's the most important things to think about when you begin looking at family worship for your home? Well, it's not an easy question to answer because every home looks very different. But here's a couple things and a couple tips that I can give you. The first most important thing that you can do to help your family start family discipleship is committing to worshiping God in your home. Think about it. If you commit to worshiping God in your home, then it's going to be natural for you to set aside time where you will worship and maybe where you can invite your children to worship too. We have to understand that God has created us to worship Him. And then we failed to worship Him. But He sent His Son Jesus to renew the worship of His people. And so all that He has done for the sake of the worship of His name. And so if we understand that truth and we take that and extrapolate it to our family, then we understand that our family was put together for the sake of worshiping His name. So commit to worshiping your God in your home. That's the first most important tip I can give you. The second tip is this. You have to plan. You know, there's an old saying that if you do not plan, then you plan to fail, right? If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So you must plan in order to set aside time for worship. We've talked about already the rhythm that you can find in your home. Every home has a rhythm. You go from one thing to the next, from expectation to expectation. And as you develop what you want to do in family discipleship, then you'll harness that rhythm in order to provide opportunities to disciple your children and to walk them into faith. And so setting aside time and making a plan to put family worship in your home rhythm or the rhythm of your home is going to be super important. For us, again, we take the time after dinner when we've all finished stuffing our faces to then pull out the Word of God and worship Him. But it might look different for you. Maybe the best time for your family is in the morning when everybody wakes up and people are bright-eyed and saying good morning. Or maybe the best time is during your reading time at night. Maybe you lay on the bed with your kids and you read the Word of God. Or maybe there's a special time during the day when you go outside or when your spouse will take the kids outside. Maybe it's one of those times, but you have to pick a time and make it a plan to do family worship. And then the last thing is not only do you need to plan the timing and commit to it, but you also have to lay out kind of some options for yourself for worship. Now, when we think about worship in our home, and I think when we model it after the worship of the church, we have elements of reading the Word of God in our family worship. We have elements of prayer in our family worship. And we have time set aside for singing and for expressing our heart for God. And so if you can just make that commitment that you will worship God in your home, and if you can plan to put it into the rhythm of your home, and then make sure that you think through the elements of your family worship, then you're going to succeed in using family worship as a tool of discipleship.